Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darragh O'Connor.
Yo, what's going on? It's Leon Slater, and you are listening to Darragh O'Connor on the Wrestling Rewind. You get me?
This is Impact Wrestling superstar Cowboy James Storm.
This is Jeff Jarrett, the King of the Mountain.
I'm Tom Hannafin from TNA Wrestling. You're listening to the Wrestling Rewind.
And if you're not, sorry about your damn luck.
The Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
Hello folks, it is Tuesday here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling. If I sound different this week, it's because I'm in Manchester, I forgot my microphone, and I'm hoping that editing or AI or whatever will be able to fix this and I'll sound relatively audible. And if not, I do apologize. But I'm not alone. Christopher, how are you doing, sir? The hero of the day who is graciously recording the show.
You know, I do what I can. But I'm not in Manchester, though, unfortunately. I'm still in Texas.
That's fair. Well, it's a rainy night, but and it's also a sad night because Manchester Storm lost, which sucks. I'm not going to talk about hockey because this isn't a hockey podcast, but I will say Coventry can go to hell, not the place. Team Coventry Blaze, because they beat Belfast, and now they've beat Manchester Storm. And like every time I go see hockey now, it's a loss. So I am not happy. It's very upsetting. And Coventry just keep destroying my dreams of celebrating the home team winning. So not a great Friday night. But hey, the game was really good, and Manchester is a beautiful city, and I'm sure Texas is as well. I've never got an opportunity to go, but definitely warmer, I'd imagine, right?
Oh yeah, it's in the 80s right now.
Yeah, it's not. It hasn't been anywhere close to that in England or Ireland in quite some time. But there's worse news. We're going to start off this week with something that I did a video on the channel. If you guys are listening now, go off to nerd.media.com or nerd.media on YouTube, and you'll be able to check it out. So were you actually commenting on this video? So
I did.
Appreciate that.
Yes, I did.
and it's something we kind of knew was going to happen. We feared that it would happen. Cody Rhodes has not only won the title back, but it looks like he's going to be in the main event of night one at WrestleMania, kicking out Drew McIntyre. And now we have Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes for a title, which that's not only bad enough. The segment itself, as I said, I think it was I recorded it on Saturday and I may have uploaded it on Monday. It's the most disliked video of the year, but it's now surpassed the Jey Uso winning the title at WrestleMania as the most disliked video.
Wow.
And look, there are some controversies that it's a bot farm and stuff like that, but even if that's true, there are a lot of legitimate comments on that video and online where people are genuinely upset that this happened. And it seems to be a couple of reasons. One, it's people are sick of Cody Rhodes, but also it's like we wanted Drew McIntyre to win. It's like they actually wanted WWE to be creative, and they just weren't. What are your thoughts on this, Christopher?
And we asked this question on my podcast last weekend as well, is that why would you put the title on Drew just to take it off of him 3 months later? And he didn't really defend it either. He just was doing the heel thing, which I get. Heel champions tend to not want to defend and find ways out of doing it. But at least and Drew has been rear-ended. This is the fourth time he's won the title, and all four times it's been like the first two were in COVID. The third one, he lost it in 5 minutes because Damian Priest cashed in. Now he's getting, sent to the back of the line because Cody has to be the main event. I don't understand what creative is thinking.
It's funny you mentioned the Damian Priest one. I'm like, oh yeah, like I was there and I forgot that.
Yeah,
like I was literally in attendance. I watched it happen in front of me and I forgot about it.
And that's what I'm saying though, is that Drew is such a great worker. Hell, he put over CM Punk after losing that title shot. With the whole the band, the little friendship bracelet, and talking about Larry the dog, may he rest in peace, and all that. But he was able to put CM Punk to a whole new level, and this is the thanks he gets for that. I'm sorry, Cody Hogan needs to go away. I'm sorry, seriously. It's almost like he's in the creative room.
Listen, we heard that this card a couple of months ago. We heard that this was what they were thinking. I was like, no, they're not going to do something that stupid. That formulaic. There's something that it's like, no, if you actually go back and have a look at that teaser trailer that they released, it's your main event.
Yep.
Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and then Cody Rhodes is there first and foremost.
Yep.
The aura or the spanner is that Randy Orton is there, fair enough. But at the same time, there is more thought that Brock Lesnar, his plans are changing. So it seems even though, so obviously there were plans to have Obafemi go against Brock.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like that's happened. Apparently Brock doesn't want to lose. So to me, this seems that there is this either complete creative bankruptcy, which is probably true, but also maybe the talent just don't want to lose. They don't want to put people over.
And that's a fair assessment to make because Brock is getting old. Yeah, he's a beast of a dude. He's probably a lot bigger than I am, and I'm a pretty big guy. But at the same time, it comes to a point where the body's like, oh, you can't do that anymore. We saw it with John Cena. John Cena didn't have the power that he had prior, and you could see it every time he had a match where he had to pick somebody up for the AA. He was cringing. He's like, I can't do what I used to be able to do, which is why he wanted to walk away. Same thing with Brock. I think
there's that element of it as well. There's that element as well. It's more like Obafemi will be around in the business, hopefully a lot longer than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Because even if Brock Lesnar is working for the next 5 years, that's 5 years. Obafemi is still very, very young. It's like they keep trying to make these new stars, and then they pull the rug out from underneath them. Like I was watching a very interesting video the other day about Keith Lee. Do you remember Keith Lee?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. So Keith Lee came in, and it was all bluster, and he was great, and it was all that kind of thing. And then they did nothing with him. Now I know that was under Vince McMahon, but even AEW didn't do anything with him. And then he got like that really bad case of COVID, injury after injury, and then he's just gone. So and now you have like the Adam Cole thing, the rise of AEW. And look, there is an argument made that like a lot of the talent that they were trying to build went over and built AEW. Maybe that's true. If you look at it, that could be true. WWE still have a lot of great talent that they've either made in NXT or have just naturally developed, and they've done nothing with it. Like we're sitting here at WrestleMania 42 with Cody Rhodes, who has now main evented more WrestleManias than Randy Orton, which is the point you made on Raw. But not even that, Christopher. We are getting the same mix.
Yep.
Almost 3-4 years in a row.
True.
Like, look, call me crazy, but I used to like when the WrestleMania was mix was a little bit different. I'll never forget when I was a kid and you stick the WWE tape in and you get the ad for WrestleMania. You probably remember this. When you watch the Attitude Era video, they'd have like the countdown from WrestleMania 1 up to like 16.
Yeah.
That was the only WrestleManias they had, and it'd be like every year it would be different. It just feels like you stick on WrestleMania 40, obviously it was a big blow off. Last year, very forgettable. This year, very forgettable. Even 39, very forgettable. 38, I don't even remember what 38 was. That's not a good sign. It's like they build towards the 10-year thing and they're like, okay, the rest of it just kind of happened. But we have now at WrestleMania 42 is matches that are happening because it's WrestleMania. Matches need to happen. It's not good enough from WWE. It's not good enough from any company. But like, if this was AEW, there'd be people freaking out and saying how bad it is and the company's going bankrupt. And with WWE, people are saying that, but they seem to get a pass. And it's like, how can you sit there and go, this is good? Because it really isn't. And it's supposed to be WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It could be a thing as well. It's like, well, maybe you're getting old. Maybe it's not for you anymore. It's like, okay, maybe. But at the same time, it's like, you still should be able to enjoy a product. You shouldn't age out of a sport. And I know, look, actually, that's a good point I want to bring as well. Wrestling isn't a sport. It's not real, but it still has to be good. It has sport elements. It's like, you and I both like sports. I was literally at a hockey game today. That I'm more passionate about that as a sport. But this is a radio show where we cover wrestling as a sport in the form of entertainment. You have to kind of look at it that way as well and dig into it. And, we've been doing this a while. You are a wrestler. We've both been doing podcasts for a while. And it's just like, when you sit back and you're just like, yeah, look, we're getting old. But at the same time, it doesn't negate that this is objectively a bad product. And it's not even that. It's like bad. It's just boring. Like, what's the reason to watch? Like, if you're given the same thing every year, let me ask you this, Christopher.
Sure.
No matter how good the meal is or how good anything is, you're given the best thing ever, right? Whatever it is. And even the listeners. And you're given that every single day. I guarantee you within a week, you will never want that thing again.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Whatever it is. It could be literally anything. If you have that every single day, you will just be like, I want something different, and that's it. Now, this is it elongated out because they put so much stock into WrestleMania. And the fact that you have to see that stupid blonde bimbo, stupid face looking at you, it's just sickening. I'm like, I just don't want to see his face. I don't want to see it. You know what I hate? I hate when he carries the belt. It really irritates me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what are you doing? You look ridiculous. Stop carrying the belt like that. Just carry it properly or wear it. I always trying to do it like the old school guys, but like nobody holds him up there as like that. That's come and gone. We have to look at his face. Roman Reigns is there, and it's just like, okay, Roman, you're past it too. Like, you've had your time as well. And I think that's the problem. It's like, I don't really see the CM Punk thing. Some people could be like, oh, well, you're a CM Punk fan. You're giving him a pass. I am and I haven't. He still has to finish. He has a story to finish. He hasn't really. He had that main event last year, and that was his. But this is his real main event, night 2.
Yep.
Against Roman Reigns. He's never had that before. Makes sense. If he wins, he's the conquering hero. He could probably retire after that and be like, I did everything. Roman Reigns has really nothing to prove other than he's the tribal chief, but we know that. We've known that for 6 years. What else? It's kind of lacking. And I think Roman Reigns, and I'll let you get in here in a second, Christopher. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, I think, are having the same problem. They have both finished their stories. It's like, when you're playing a game and you get New Game Plus and you're just kind of wandering around and you have all the powers, but you've done everything. So you don't really want to play the game anymore. That's what this feels like.
Yeah, I can see that. Another thing I do want to add to this is that they're giving the older talent all the gold at this point. And I'm talking about the men's, not the women's. The women's is a whole different argument. But when it comes to the main event scene in WrestleMania especially, there are people that are, in my opinion, more deserving and more over with the crowd that should be at least in the talk of being in these main events. And I'm talking about Finn Bálor, LA Knight, Obafemi. Just off the top of my head, those are the 3 names that pop in my head. And I'd rather see a poster with them on it than the ones we have now. And there's going to come a point where these guys that are in the main event scene right now, they're not going to be there anymore. And now it's like, oh, what do? Well, we have all these young talent. Push it. You should have pushed them years ago. LA Knight's not getting any younger, and he's more over.
Look, WrestleMania 40, he did a press conference. It's on our channel. Go check it out if you haven't before. I'll repost it. I might edit it again and repost it. The crowd were so into him, like naturally into him.
Yep.
And that's just grown over the past 2 years. But, you're right. He's not getting much younger. He probably has 5 years before he's literally past it, and they will never push him.
Yep.
At this point, I'll be honest with you, he's probably better off going back to TNA. Like, if he went back to TNA, yeah, he never reached that WWE level superstardom, but he'd probably be the face of the company.
Yeah.
Again, and it really raises those questions because to me, this is like when Finn Bálor went back to NXT for a little bit and everyone was like, oh my God, he's phenomenal. And then he came back up and he just kind of forgot him again. It's just like, it's this really weird thing that we used to blame it on Vince. It's not. It's a WWE thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's like systemic where they're like, we have our guys and these guys have to go in the matches. And if they're not in the matches, everything else is wrong. And if you look at Christopher, last year wasn't really a good year for wrestling, but a lot of it was hidden because you had the built-in attraction of, well, Cena's not going to be here next year. This is the last time he's wrestling. Insert wrestler here. And that carried them through the entire year.
Yep, it did.
And now you're looking at a very barren, very poor card with like Roman Reigns is a draw for sure. but not where he is. Cody Rhodes, as much as we dislike him, he's a draw to somebody. I was walking through Dublin Airport about a year ago, and someone was unironically wearing a Cody Rhodes t-shirt. And the look of disgust that I had for that man can't put into words. It was a grown man. So somebody is buying Cody Rhodes merch. And look, more power to them. But at the same time, I do believe that you change any of these matches, like just jig them around a little bit, you have a much better card. Much better card. Like take any of them, even the most basic one. You throw Finn Bálor in there with Cody and Drew, much better match. You throw Finn in there with Punk and Roman, much better match. You mix Penta in there, LA Knight, that's a pretty decent match. Why wouldn't they just give him the belt there and push him in that? You know, it just takes a bit of creativity, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if the WWE just don't want to be creative or they're afraid to be. And I think that's one thing that, like, obviously we will never know, or we will know when we all watch WWE. What's it, Untold?
Yeah, Unreal.
That's it. WWE Unreal. Actually, Untold is a good episode where they go through the feuds. Do watch that if you've never seen that. WWE Unreal, like when we were watching this in a year, and like, well, they really actually did not have a plan.
Yeah.
they just were like, right, these are the matches we're going to get there. And it's just like, you know, the opportunity might come up for me to go to WrestleMania this year. I will be straight, if that happens, or even if I'm watching it live, I probably won't watch night one. I don't want to. There's no reason to. You know, the only match that I have any real interest in is CM Punk and Roman Reigns for an obvious reason.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just like, that's a terrible situation to be in. You know, as someone who, you know, we watch wrestling, we love wrestling, we do this podcast, there should be something there to watch, but it feels like, you know, when I feel like I'm watching, and I don't mean this as a job because it's not a job, but when I went to All In, you know, the one where CM Punk had the fight with Jack Perry backstage in London, I was at that. Once I saw Punk and Joe wrestle, I kind of checked out at that point. I just didn't care. You know, I was like, I came to see what I wanted to see, and that's it, because the product just didn't connect with me. And now I'm feeling that with WWE, and that's a bad sign to be in, where it's just like, but again, they haven't given us any stories. It's the exact same thing that I would level at AEW, but the matches aren't as good, where its matches are just happening for the sake of happening. And that just doesn't work. WWE don't have the talent that AEW have. They don't have the workers to go in and justify that. It's just poor creative, plain and simple.
And it's a black hole too, because you have a average of below average product, but yet the price to get in the door to watch it live and or on ESPN, for those of us that are in America, is through the roof. It's like, why am I going to pay for this?
You know what? I didn't even consider that. Again, I show my ignorance. We live in Europe. It's all on Netflix. But even still, I mean, like, that's a great point. If you're in America and you're paying the 79 million subscriptions that you need to watch WWE now, and then the pay-per-view, it's just like, you're just not going to do it. I mean, the thing about AEW is, like, the actual price of entry is really low, and the pay-per-views are also, like, they're standard enough, and you can get them in packages and stuff, and it's actually, like, really, really accessible. So WWE they've priced themselves out of the market, which is a great segue, but they're also creatively just not giving you any reason to watch. All they have now is the name, and that name is losing credibility, because it's like, well, I don't really want to see any of this. It's very predictable and really boring. It's safe.
And the smart Americans like myself are getting VPNs, and I'm okay with a disruption every 20, 30 minutes. Okay, refresh, I'm back. I don't care.
You're right back. Yeah, like, that's it. And, you know, it's just, there's a lot of problems here with WWE, and they need to fix it. But, you know, I was going to go on record and say, if things don't change, this WrestleMania, you could be looking at a lot of people just not going.
Yeah.
So why would you bother? You know, and it's funny because we're starting to see like a knock-on effect of this now, Christopher, right? Where, you know, we talked about the ticket prices being crazy. And they were, like, last time I looked at them, they were like $800. And it's also like dynamic pricing. So the dynamic pricing of it, if anyone doesn't know, it's like if the demand goes up, the price goes up. If the demand goes down, they go down. And now to get a one-night ticket up in the nosebleeds, it's like less than $200. That's insane.
It's not worth it.
It's still not worth it. It's a 400% drop almost from the original prices.
I don't think we have a WWE problem. I think we have a TKO problem, because I think TKO has their hand in the cookie jar. I think they're the ones that are telling creative who to put over because they know, or they think they know what's going to put, butts in the seats and sell the tickets and sell the merch, but they don't know what they're doing because they're pricing everybody out and giving us a less than average product that half the time I'm like, oh, it's Monday. I got to watch Raw. And I'm a content creator that has a podcast about wrestling, and I'm like, I gotta watch Raw today. That's not the way it should be. It shouldn't be that way. I should look forward to watching SmackDown and Raw and whatever PLE is on that month.
It's not even like, yeah, look, it is a TKO problem for real. However, even when Vince was there and he had complete control of it, it was still a terrible product in many, many ways. I suppose the only concession there is you are right. It's like you could still watch it. You could still afford to watch it. You had the network. It was on national television and international television. It didn't cost an arm and a leg. So I think what's happened here is there's a lot of like, I'm going to use a reference. You watch The Simpsons, right?
Of course.
Do you remember when Mr. Burns, this works so incredibly well actually. Remember Mr. Burns sells the power plant to the Germans and then they find out that it's riddled with holes and it's completely out of code and they'll have to spend millions to fix it back up. And Mr. Burns it comes back and he's like, oh, please give me my plant back. And they're like, we're desperate to sell. And then he's like, oh, you're desperate to sell. And then, he gets it back. I could see something like this happening. Like if we do get a catastrophic failure of a WrestleMania, which look, if it's not this year, it'll be next year. But next year, it won't look like it because it really doesn't matter. Saudi Arabia will just pay for everything. But actually, with the war happening now at the moment in Iran and oil not being able to make it to markets, that could be very interesting too if that continues. Just saying, an economy built on oil that can't reach consumers, that could be very interesting for WWE. So we'll see what happens there. But assuming that all works out and it is fine, you won't really notice the lack of people buying tickets because they'll just be able to give them away. But you could see now at this WrestleMania a lot of empty seats. A report that you had to give tickets away, and you don't really want to do that. Like this isn't, and no disrespect to people in Milwaukee, this isn't a house show in Milwaukee. This isn't a random Raw in Toledo. This, or in where's the Miz from? Iowa?
He's from Cleveland, Ohio.
Ohio, yeah. Sorry, they go to Ohio a lot, not Iowa. Yeah, it isn't like a random SmackDown in Ohio. It's WrestleMania. Unbelievable. Like, TKO need to have a good look in the mirror and go, here, what are we doing? What is going on? And look, I love Triple H, I do, but if this is the creative he's putting out, I think we really hit critical mass with it. It's too corporate for its pricing.
Yeah.
It's too uncreative to even justify it.
And to give you
an thing, Christopher.
What?
Go on, let's go. No, I'll let you go. Go on.
Just to give you an idea of ticket prices, the next Raw on Monday, the 16th of March, is in San Antonio, which is 2 hours from me. I've been thinking about going just because it's Raw. It's 316 day. It's Austin Day. Why wouldn't I want to go? The tickets, not the floor. The floor is like 1,000. And that's not happening. But the level right above that, in the 100, 102, 3 level, they're almost $700. And I can remember a time getting tickets there for like 120, 130. And the floor level was maybe 2 to 3. And this is a Raw. This isn't even a PLE. This is a Raw.
As I said to you, when Raw happened in Belfast, I really wanted to go, but I could not justify €1,000. I just couldn't do it.
I mean, we're going to see Bayley versus AJ for the title. We might see CM Becky might be there. I mean, just to see Becky and people boo her would be great for me to go. But it's like, is it really worth what I would pay for this? And then I got to drive 2 hours there and 2 hours back, pay for parking, everything else. It does not justify itself. Even if I lived in San Antonio,
Yeah, I don't, as I said to you, like Belfast is only up the road from me. When WWE SmackDown was in Raw, like it's literally in the building across from where the tech hub is. So it was very easy for me to get there. I still didn't want to go. I was like, no, I'm not paying €300 to go to a show in the O2.
Yep.
It's just not happening. Or the 3 Arena, whatever it's called now. I'm like, no, it's not happening. WWE, you're not creative enough to demand those prices. I'm really sorry. But it brings us to our next connected story. So normally this time of year, I would cover 2K26 or the latest game. I really, really like 2K25. Thought that was really, really good. And this one was weird. Some embargoes, keys not been sent out, PR being a bit cagey, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing this long enough to realize when that happens, that's not really a good thing, right? So it's usually that the game is bad, or they want to hide something, and they don't want press going out on that. They just want to kind of it to be released, and that's it. The last time they were this cagey was like when 2K20 came out, which, to be fair, I actually really liked that game. The memes alone were phenomenal, right? And also weirdly predicted the pandemic. Go back and play the story mode of that, and it has loads of empty arena matches and a boneyard match with the Undertaker. So I'm just saying, 2K20 is kind of a spooky game in hindsight. So when I start hearing rumors about 2K26, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Now, look, by all accounts, the game is pretty good, right? It's an update from what we had last year, new roster, blah, 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 blah. However, have you heard about the cost to skip things and the season pass DLC battle tier system?
No, I have not. I have not heard anything about that.
Last year, even the year before, they would do this thing where you would have to play challenges to get cards, or you'd have to buy cards to get like unlockable stuff. So if you wanted like Super Cena, you had to get a special card. If you wanted like the 1999 version of Triple H, you had to get this card. So there was a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, okay, I haven't got all that time to go and, grind every day for this one card. And I'm not going to pay. Like there was like to get the final boss version of The Rock was like $70.
Oh my God.
Right. So it's not unprecedented, but it wasn't really part of the game. It was just, if you really, really want the stuff, you can do it. But now, right, so I'm just going to run some numbers for you. The base game at the moment, the plain Jane berry game, $70.
Normal. Okay.
The season pass, $60. Right. Now here's where the problem arrives. They brought in this thing where you can skip levels. So it's called the ringside pass battle system. So instead of you playing, I think it's like you play like one match and you get 100 points or 300 points for this match. And then after a certain point, you can unlock stuff. So instead of doing that, you can just pay $2 and skip a level, right? Each season has 40 tiers. So you would have to pay $2 for 40 tiers, right? And then do that 6 times. Jeez. So if your math is pretty good, you're looking at $500, give or take. So your total for this one game, season pass, skipping the seasons, could rack up to about $1,000 Canadian, $700, $800 US, about $600 in euro. How insane is that?
That's crazy.
How insane! Like it's so completely unhinged. And look, I'm sorry, I have a good relationship with 2K. They've been really good to me in the past, but I knew something was up. I didn't realize it was this. Whoa. Here's the thing though, I'm actually relatively okay with that to an extent. If it was $50, okay, fair enough. If it allows you to unlock everything, still not great. I don't think there's much merit in it, but fair enough. If you want to unlock everything, you just haven't got the time. But nearly $1,000. That's a holiday for like a family.
Yep.
It's like, come on. That's more expensive than my PS5 was at the height of its price during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's a first class ticket to the States.
That's a floor seat at a Raw or SmackDown here in Texas. I mean, the money could be used so much better somewhere else. And
it's rent for a lot of people as well. There's no justification. So this is what I'm saying. Is this like 2K? Fair enough. Some people have a lot of things to say about them, and they have like a sordid history in certain ways. But I think this comes back to, is this a TKO problem? Because how much money are TKO getting from this?
Valid point.
TKO obviously getting, but TKO probably getting a bit as well. And it's just like the gaming industry. That's a whole other question. But there's like how many different versions of this game are out? There's the Undertaker pack, the Triple H pack, the Monday Night Wars pack, the CM Punk pack. It's like a lot of red flags were shown here before release, but it wasn't until the stuff that people don't see when you're working in the media starts appearing. Danger Will Robinson. And look, from what I've heard, the game is actually quite good. It's a nice little follow-up to last year's one. But I'll be honest with you, man, I'm just going to stick with last year's one. And this will probably be free on Xbox, Game Pass, or the PSN eventually. And I will not be paying any money. I will not be paying 70 quid to skip levels.
To put it in retrospect, the last WWE PlayStation Xbox game that I actually played was WWE 13. And that had CM Punk on the cover as well. And
great game.
And guess what, folks? It also had the Attitude Era, which is what this game has, with Punk on the cover. But it was THQ at the time, though. It wasn't 2K. It was a whole different company.
Yeah, but it seems like this is like a reskin of that. They're just kind of like updating the graphics and removing Vince, which is pretty funny. Really, when you think about it, because last year they did the WrestleMania, the 40 years of WrestleMania one, and they had to like creatively cut around Vince McMahon. And it's just like,
oh no,
yeah, fair play if you can do it, but it's very hard to actually tell that story without that, But yeah, look, I'm kind of disgusted with what 2K did here because there was no reason for it. Like the game itself, like even at $130 for like one of the big packages, that's also a lot of money.
Yeah.
How much is too much? Some people will be like, oh, well, they do this for Fortnite. Yeah, that's because it's a free game. Yeah, this wasn't free. This is like $100 and something.
Yeah.
70 for the base package. It's kind of disgusting. It really is. But there you go, folks. Buy it if you want, but that Ring Pass, Battle Pass, I miss when games, you could just unlock it.
Yeah.
Just unlock it.
And,
now look, it sucks, man, because like there's some there's a bunch of AAA wrestlers in it. A bunch of TNA wrestlers in it. Luckily, a lot of those guys and girls are in 25, which is really good. But I'm just like, oh, come on,
Yeah,
just sucks. It's just like, but I can wait. And look, they might patch some of this stuff out. It might make it worse. But I think what happened here was that card system got so out of hand last year that they just were like, well, people paying $70 for The Rock. Here we go. And you're like, that's what I think happened. They looked at how much money they were making, and they were like, we can make all the money always and give them a lot less. So yeah, it's just really sad to see a really good series going down this way. But hey, look, if you want my thoughts on it, that's my thoughts on it. But look, another thing I really need to mention this week, Christopher, before we jump in the time machine, we have 2 interviews up on the website right now, 2 TNA interviews. The second one went up with Eddie Edwards. Really, really great guy. Super fun interview. Can't recommend that enough. If you're listening, please go off to Nerdtown Media. Subscribe on YouTube as well. Everything there is free. Yeah. Before we jump in the time machine, what did you think of Raw this week?
The women's gauntlet match. Yeah, I don't think I would have given it to Bayley. I would have given Raquel the push that she deserves. Granted, she's probably not going to beat AJ, but at least give her the push. But
it goes back to what we were saying.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling we're going to see either Lyra or Bayley turn on the other. I don't know who it's going to be, but one or the other is going to turn on the other female, and that's going to cause some sort of rift between their friendship and then a rival going into possibly even SummerSlam down the road. Finn Bálor wearing his big boy pants and standing up to Judgment Day was definitely my MVP of the show. It's like, good for you, Finn. It's about time. I was so proud to be a Finn Bálor fan at that point. I'm like, you know what? Yes, this is what I need to see. And then, yeah, it was awesome. And I feel like it's a little too late. Not really, not too little too late, but I think they should have done this a while back. But I'm okay with it now. You know what? It is what it is because, and the thing that really got me was the first person who attacked him wasn't even Dom. It was JD McDonough, a guy he trained who wouldn't be there without Finn Bálor. And I'm like, wow.
I like that. I really did like that. I like that little touch because it was just like, it happens all the time.
It
but
does.
I still really like it because it's like when Jey Uso was turning on the bloodline.
Yeah.
He was attacked by his brother, in the Shield. Rollins was the one that did it. It's even going back to the Marty Jannetty thing, it's like the more close they are, the more that knife jabs in, and it just makes it so much better. So,
yeah,
the Dom Finn match will be very, very good. But what it also sets up are, again, on the one hand, WWE creative is actually pretty good because when they just let the guys cook. And it wouldn't shock me if they were like, people like Finn and JD, they're like, yeah, just do what you want. You know, they're just doing what they want. That wouldn't shock me. But it's like, it kind of sets up a feud going forward where Finn can actually work his way through the Judgment Day while building himself up to a world title run. That's cool. That's a good path forward where it like lays out a whole story that he can actually kind of complete and then win his belt and get what was taken from him, where he never had the opportunity to have a good run. And then in that, you let Dom become a mega heel.
Yep.
Like a dangerous heel.
Yeah.
Right now he's still kind of like he's cool, but he is real goofy still.
Yeah.
So if he's like a proper psychopath, that would be awesome. He gets JD away from Finn, gives him a chance to fly, for better or worse. I mean, look, I like JD McDonough, but I don't know what will happen long term with him. He'll either really work or he really won't.
Yeah.
I'm hoping as a fellow Irishman that he will work because he's a great talent.
Yeah.
And I think he needs this kind of sink or swim thing. And then obviously you have the girls in the Judgment Day, and look, they're fine as it is. They don't need any help. But yeah, man, like, I mean, it's a long time coming. It made the most sense in the world. It was really cool to see. It was a really good segment. And I'm excited. As I said, like, even as bad as this WrestleMania could be, the undercard could save it for me in some ways. Like, whatever the Motor City Machine Guns are in, I will watch. Even though they're not really getting that push that they deserve. Want to clear up something on that. The reason why the Motor City Machine Guns aren't winning all the belts and doing all the stuff is one of them is a physiotherapist and the other one is putting himself through college. And they've already done everything. They're there just to finish out the career. But at the same time, I like seeing them at a big match at WrestleMania or at SummerSlam last year was one of the best things as a TNA fan that's ever happened. So I can't wait to see them at WrestleMania again this year. But I think the undercard will have some really cool surprise matches. But yeah, it's the only thing this week that really kind of got me jazzed. The CM Punk Roman Reigns promo stuff.
Oh,
it's fine.
Well,
it's fine, but it's fine. But at the same time, it's like, what did you think about it?
I mean, I want to go back to the Finn thing real quick. Something that nobody's really talking about. Nobody's really talking about anymore is this was like a year or two ago when they had Liv come into Judgment Day. Finn Bálor, inconspicuously took the hotel key, and we never heard back from that again. I don't know why, but in the back of my head, I'm like, are Liv and Finn in cahoots, just not telling Dom about it? I'm hoping this comes full circle at WrestleMania. And maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm thinking the way creative should be thinking at this point, because that's a little bit of a piece of a puzzle that's missing from the bigger picture that we should put in there. But that's neither here.
What I will say is be careful, because WB Creative, a couple of years ago, actually, I want to shout out to Andy of Power Notes. He used to call WWE Creative WWE Uncreative. I think I want to dust that off and steal it from him. WWE Uncreative. Don't give them that much credit.
Somebody
they're real bad.
Somebody told me that in a TikTok live, like, you're giving them too much credit. I'm like, yeah, but part of me has just got hope, and they haven't taken it away from me yet, and they're never going to take that hope from me. Fast forward to the whole Usos and CM Punk thing. I had a feeling that something like this was going to happen, but the fact that Roman had to send, the lackeys to go fight, and Punk brings it up. Why would he send you? Why wouldn't he come and tell me? Oh, that's right, because you guys are his. And then he used, as Mr. Spock would say, a colorful metaphor to describe who they were. And yeah, those that know. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? Even if I apologize for what I said, it doesn't take away that I said it. It's out there. It was.
And but here's the thing. It's true, too. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you look at the way that the Usos are booked, we have seen that once they break up, it just fails.
Yeah.
You have you eat and that's it, so good call, man. Good call. Like, look, it's not really doing anything for me. This feud at the moment, it's just kind of like, it's just happening.
Yeah.
And if Roman wins, I'll be like, well, what now?
Yeah.
And that's it. If Punk wins, it's what now as well. But at least he's a good champion. He's there. He's having phenomenal matches. And he's probably one of the best parts of the show, if not the best part of the show, objectively. But if Roman wins, what now?
Yeah.
Do you bring in a new belt? Will he make another belt?
They've done that before. They'll do it again.
Twice.
Yeah.
But both times for Roman, I think. But technically, they've done it 3 or 4 times, but I think they did it twice for Roman. And the very belt that Punk is holding exists because Roman would not defend the blue one.
Yeah. The Universal, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
I do find it funny that of the two Uso brothers, Jimmy was like, I'm upset, but I'll hear you out. And Jay was like a rabid dog, like, no, man, come on, Us, you're going to say you're sorry to us, just being the hothead that he is. And I'm sitting there going, there's something else going on there. I said this on my podcast and I'll say it here too. The way they're feuding with Division right now, I got a feeling that Theory and Logan Paul are going to take those tag belts off of them just in time for Jimmy to go take maternity leave, be with Naomi and the baby. And then Jay is probably going to make a heel turn down the road because he do what you're best at, Jay, at this point. You know, you get the crowd going, you're over with the crowd, but you know what? So is LA Knight. Where's his title run? That's all I'm going to say about that. If we're going to give people title runs for being over, Daniel Bryan, I'm looking at you too. I'm looking at Daniel Bryan too. He only got one because he was over with the crowd. Yeah. So, you know, give the man his just dues.
No argument from me.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. But it's just so funny that the IWC is like, you're just an old man. And I love that. I've been called a boomer more times on social media, and I'm not even a baby boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. You know, I'm like, I'm not sure if I should be insulted or I should shake your hand. I'm not sure which one it is, but okay, whatever.
Hey, look, they're making it even younger. So hey, that's right.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like when you get carded, you're like, oh, okay.
You know, these are people that have been watching it for maybe 10 years and don't know the history. And someone like myself that's been watching it since the beginning of the WrestleMania era, so to speak, you know, watching the NWA, the AWA, the territories that were in Texas, you know, watching the Von Erichs up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where the Freebirds would come in and do their thing. You had gentleman Chris Adams coming in and all these names we don't hear about anymore that people don't know about. So I like to think my opinion has a little bit of weight to it.
Well, that's why this show exists. You know, like if you don't, the rewind, we try to bring context to stuff that people may have forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, because as you said, man, I mean, like, you know, even in the band, like, CJ, we had him on the show. He's only watching wrestling like what, 3 years?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, again, like I think every time we do tend to forget that, we're watching wrestling longer. You're watching wrestling longer than I am. I wasn't even born when WrestleMania was a thing, you know? And it's just like,
thank you for that, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that like the stuff that I had to catch up on as a kid. Yeah. And it seems like nowadays that wrestling fans nowadays, even though they have access to literally everything, they're still like, oh no, I only want to watch what I see on this. I'd encourage anyone, if you look, our listeners aren't like that, obviously, but if you listen on YouTube or whatever, before you comment, go back and just check out some cool stuff. There's a lot of really cool stuff that you haven't seen. A lot of cool stuff that I haven't seen. James Truepenny has a lot of cool Japanese stuff that he always manages to find for me. I love going on his show for that. So, you know, that's why the rewind exists, so we can take you guys back in the time machine. And look, we have 7 minutes to get through this, Christopher. My question is, do you want to leave it for next week, or do you want to power through this?
I'd say we'll power through it. We can cram, 7 minutes for WrestleMania 24. Writes itself 24/7. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So look, we're hopping in the time machine. A quick whistle stop tour, as they say, of WrestleMania 24. Look, I remember this one like it was yesterday, which is crazy, really, when you look about how long ago it was. I was working in the cinema, and I had to ask, it was my first job. I had to ask for time off to go see it early. The guy who I asked to cover my shift was Gary, who used to end up hosting this show with me for 10 years. That's the origin story of that. I haven't watched the show since. It was a phenomenal treat to go back and watch this show. It's from, obviously, March 30th, 2008, Orlando, Florida. The Florida Citrus Bowl, biggest WrestleMania under the sun. Holy hell, I do not miss cards that are this big or shows that are this long. That being said, like there was a lot of filler. It really was matches that, matches that just really didn't need to be there. Stuff that you really could, but the stuff that was good is obviously iconic. The Money in the Bank ladder match, CM Punk getting his big win, phenomenal moment. Would obviously set up his cashing in on Edge and, his eventual rise. Shawn Michaels ending the career of Ric Flair.
Or so we thought.
20 years later, he still hasn't retired.
Yeah.
We did one of the best retirement moments ever. And he didn't actually retire, which is hilarious. The Fly Money Mayweather match, I actually really liked it. That was cool. Those punches to the Big Show was the first time you saw someone really small actually hurt the Big Show, which was kind of crazy. So that moment was really cool, even though the match wasn't wonderful.
Yeah.
And then it finished with The Undertaker defeating Edge. Now, here's the thing. and I'll let you jump in on this one. When Edge was wrestling Taker, it was one of the first times they'd really started really pushing the streak.
Yeah.
They had kind of build up to it. It was the first year when it was really like, hey, the streak is actually a thing. And I honestly thought at certain points during this match, the Edge was going to end it. That's how close it was. That's my quick thoughts on this WrestleMania. Is there anything I missed or anything you want to go into?
No, like you pretty much hit it all. You know, there's a couple matches on here that didn't need to be there. Kane squashing Chavo comes to mind.
Yeah, seconds.
The women's Playboy Bunny Lumberjack match definitely comes to mind. Battle of, what was it called? The Battle of Brand Supremacy. Yuck. Gross. Surprisingly, the triple threat between Randy Orton, Triple H, and Cena wasn't a horrible match. It was actually a pretty good match for what it was, you know, and I'm thinking, okay, and I hadn't watched this since it happened, but I'm just like, did Cena win this one? You know, because it's one of those things where he won everything. So it's like, did he win this one or did Triple H, you know, just bring out the golden hammer and bury everybody? And to my surprise, it wasn't. Randy Orton won. Well, yay. Good for that. And yeah, I do agree. The Taker Edge match, this is right around the beginning of them going, oh, he could be 16-0 if he beats Edge. And then, of course, 6 years later, we would get Brock ending the streak at 21-1. I mean, this was, again, there was at least 2 or 3 matches I could have done without. But then again, maybe a little more context on the stories going into them. The Money in the Bank ladder match is iconic in itself. You know, and this is the first of 2 wins in a row for Punk. Because if I'm not mistaken, Kennedy won it the year before and then lost it to Edge, if I remember the storyline correctly. Yeah. So, yeah, the Money in the Bank ladder match, anytime you have a match where there's a contract on the line, it's going to be great, men or women. And I will die on that hill. But this was a pretty decent WrestleMania. Granted, I tried to watch it last night. I fell asleep and just rewatched it today. I was like, oops, did not mean for that to happen.
I really enjoyed going back and watching this. I think it was a really good call. If you guys haven't had a chance to go back and watch it, I highly encourage you to do so. But have the fast forward button ready. There is no reason to have to have so many of these matches. Yeah. I know having 4 is too little. I think the sweet spot is about 6 for WrestleMania. Yeah. Which is what they kind of do now anyway. But like 9 matches, if you want to include the pre-show, that's 10 too many. Like, I do not miss the days, to be honest with you, sitting up and watching this. You know, you'd start it at 12, you'd finish at 6 in the morning, you wouldn't know where you were. And then you'd have to go to college or work or whatever the next day. And it's like, oh no way. But as I said, go back, have the fast forward button ready. The matches here that, in my opinion, that you need to see if you haven't. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Undertaker, Edge, the Money in the Bank ladder match. And then the rest of it, you can kind of just pick through. It's not terrible, but at the same time, the fast forward button is your best friend here, for sure. But that's going to do it, folks. We have hit time. Christopher, thank you so much, sir. We do appreciate it. Fantastic pick. I don't know what we're going to pick next week, but we will have another WrestleMania rewind next week. Is there anything you want to plug before we get away?
Yes, just I am merging my WWE and my movie critic pages together into one. They will be on one page. Just search the Jazz Zodiac podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You'll find us there. Like, subscribe, follow, hit the bell icon. That way you know when new stuff drops.
Absolutely. And they will be in the comments of this podcast. If this is your first time checking us out, please do like, share, subscribe. But if you're checking us on Phoenix, go over to nerdnomedia.com. There's no excuse. It's free. We will see you next week here on the Only Wrestling Podcast with fans who the high wrestling. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.